cap on certain kinds of student loans, and nursing students may feel the brunt of it. So the Department of Ed is proposing a new rule which would redefine professional degrees. That includes pharmacy, dentistry, veterinary medicine, but not nursing. And that means that could cut down their student loan access. The American Nurses Association released a statement urging the department to reverse course, adding, quote, "At a time when healthcare in our country faces a historic nurse shortage and rising demands, limiting nurses' access to funding for graduate education threatens the very foundation of patient care."
Can you imagine going to school for years and then your degree is suddenly just wiped out of the list of professional options? How about they go to school for 6 years and get a master's and see how professional that is?
As someone who has been studying my ass off for 2.5 years in a doctorate of nursing practice program, to now be told that my profession is not professional is beyond disrespectful.
Joining me now, Anya Kamenetz, journalist and author of Generation Debt. Anya, thanks so much for talking with me, because this is not just about the classification, right? This is about money. This is about whether or not you can get help with those degrees. Talk about the proposal.
That's exactly right. So as part of the so-called Big Beautiful Bill, the access to PLUS loans has been severely reduced or eliminated. And PLUS loans were for graduate school, and they had no cap. Now, that can be a problem because it means mounting debt. But there's an exception to the PLUS loan rule, and that was for professional students. Professional students were able to borrow up to a $200,000 aggregate limit. And now the problem comes where they're saying, well, nurses are actually not part of that list of professions. And just to note, they did include chiropractors, they did include professors of theology, but they've excluded, the backbone really of the healthcare profession in the United States, almost 5 million people.
Can you talk about the implications for this in education, but also in the nursing profession? People who do this work, they're very committed to it. I don't see them just suddenly saying, I'm not going to do this anymore. But are there impacts that maybe some of us aren't understanding?
So we should clarify, there are levels of nursing that you can practice with an associate's degree and a bachelor's degree. And so this change really impacts those who choose to go on in their profession to earn graduate degrees, which enable them to do things like diagnose and prescribe medication, lead research, and perhaps teach other nurses. And so what happens beyond that, if they lose access to these loans, which is, overwhelmingly what it takes to complete that professional certification, that might impact space at nursing schools, because these graduate students might be funding slots that other students are taking in the bachelor's degree program. So it impacts the pipeline of the profession. It impacts the professional expansion for nurses as they go through their careers, and it might impact the space for other folks. As we heard, there is obviously a huge healthcare shortage in this country.
Yeah, even general practitioners, especially in rural areas. We don't have a lot of time left, but I did want to get your point of view on this idea that some of these jobs that are no longer on the list are jobs that are disproportionately done by women.
Oh my gosh, almost 9 out of 10 nurses are women in the United States. And I think you heard from the folks on TikTok, right? There's a feeling of respect. What are we able to call a profession? What are we not calling a profession, even though they may be performing very much the same work to keep people healthy?
That's Anya Kamenetz. Thanks so much for talking with us.
Just when you think it couldn't get any worse, American nurses, you in danger, girl. The Department of Education just made a massive change that is going to cost you thousands, maybe tens of thousands of dollars. Under President Trump's Big Beautiful Bill, this act, the definition of professional degree has been revamped. And we just got left off the list. This isn't about titles. This is about excluding nursing graduate students who could lose access to specific federal loans and loan forgiveness programs that were previously available to professional degrees. I'm sure this reinforces the stereotype that nursing isn't a real profession, and this couldn't come at a worse time. This is going to make the nursing shortage more catastrophic if people can't afford the schooling. So So I don't understand what is happening out there because, again, we talk about the nursing shortage and we say, you know what, there's not a shortage of bodies, but a shortage of respect. And if this isn't a slap in the face, then I don't know what is. So, nurses in America, what are you going to do about this? And nurses in Canada, don't be fooled that this can't happen here too.
The exhaustion that I currently feel from this administration is unreal. It behooves me to go and dive deeper into the things and the problems of America that we're dealing with currently. I have 3 degrees, 2 master's degrees, 1 undergraduate. Undergraduate is in education, master's in educational administration, other master's in school counseling, only to find out that undergraduate and master's degrees in education will no longer be counted as professional degrees. We have to pay for our certificates. We have to pay to keep licensing, educational licensing. That's not professional. I'm really upset about that because this is my career and this is what I wanted to do with my life. And I'm a little bit afraid of what that means for me and my kids because I have a son going to college next year. And the major that he wants to major in is engineering, and that was on the list as well. I'm also concerned for all of the things that's on that list. It was nurse practitioner, a lot of things in the medical field, but most importantly, a lot of female-dominated careers. So not only are we attacking females, but a lot of those careers are also mandated reporters, like a diagnostician, occupational therapist. These are things in the school. Mandated reporters, okay? So kids won't be protected. Women aren't being protected. We've worked hard to get to where we're at, only to be knocked down. Another thing I've noticed, a lot of these careers are people of color dominated. So because they haven't been able to rage bait us any other way, we have literally been staying down and staying quiet. They're trying everything they can to get us to react. At this point, we just need to find our own, start our own businesses so that nobody can knock us down from a tier, a pedestal, or anything. It's time for us to suit up and boot up.
Some of you all were confused, so I got out of bed so that I can explain to you all why a certain level of degrees were downgraded by the Department of Education. You're not going to like it. Let me put on my lip gloss first. So you need to understand the levels and the depths of why they're doing this and what and who is designed to affect. Now I'm going to keep it real cute and I'm going to keep it really short and simple. And the short and simple explanation of all of this is that when Kevin Roberts, remember when I talked about him? But when Kevin Roberts wrote that nasty piece of Project 2025 legislation, he had a certain group and demographic and gender of people in mind that he wanted to make subject to white men. Now, the degrees that they declassified make up an overwhelming majority of women. Women work these fields. And when they go into higher levels of education, they become directors of institutions, mental health facilities, things like that, which allows them to make a livable wage. If you look at the infrastructure of Project 2025 and making women incubators and dependent on men, you have to take their ability, their earning ability away from them. Now, in terms of the declassification, there's one other thing to note. And that other thing to note is by declassifying these particular degrees, you also declassify the amount of funding that one can take out for said degrees. Now, if you didn't already know, Black women make up the largest majority of people who actually take out student loans.
And so because of this declassification, it bars out those women who actually want to pursue their education but don't have the money to pursue it right away, because these jobs don't particularly pay at the bachelor's level. So in order for them to get those advanced level degrees, they would have to take out student loans in order to get them. But it would also give them access to some of those director level positions. So there's two demographics that they're going after. They're going after women as a whole so that women can be dependent on their men. And then the subset, black women particularly, because in order for us to access a lot of these advanced level degrees, we would need to take out student loans. By declassifying them, we would not be able to have access to student loans, thus not furthering our education, thus keeping us out of positions that require that further level of education. Clap that T.
The Department of Education has now come out with a list of degrees that they are saying will no longer be considered professional. And this list will take effect July of 2026. Some of the degrees that they said are no longer professional include a physical therapist, an occupational therapist, advanced nurse practitioners, a physician assistant, teachers, a speech language pathologist, and there's more. But when I saw this again, I couldn't believe it. Because what does that mean on the back end? On the back end, that means that they are attacking female-dominant fields. That's a major blow right there. That's a major blow right there. That's a major blow right there. And secondly, people that are interested in those specific degrees will have a lesser chance in getting the federal funding that they need to get in those programs. And people voted for this. It's becoming to the point where y'all did not take Project 2025 serious. And it's sad. Because these people are stripping everything that they can away from the Department of Education. And it's sad. It's really getting on my nerves, and I'm just really getting sick.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 30, verse 12. Wherefore, thus saith the Holy One of Israel, because ye despise this word, and trust in oppression, and perverseness, and stay thereon, therefore this iniquity shall be to you as a breach ready to fall, swelling out in a high wall, whose breaking cometh suddenly at an instant. Call Holayim La, Al-Banawa, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Bahashem, Rakat, Chodash. Double honors to the elder apostles and all the bishops of Great Millstone who rule well. Salutations to the Akim out there on the highways and the byways. Salutations to the hopeful elect. Salutations to you speckled birds, you Israelite foreigners. And shalom to the Akwaf, sitting and listening in silence as the scriptures say to do so. Isaiah chapter 30, starting off at verse 12. Wherefore, thus saith the Holy One of Israel, because ye despise this word, and trust in oppression and perverseness, and stay thereon. Therefore, this iniquity shall be to you as a breach ready to fall, swelling out in a high wall, whose breaking cometh suddenly at an instant. And our people, our people despise Salakia, the truth, and cleave on to lies. Our people, as stated in the scripture, they trust in oppression and not in the truth. Because the true words of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah that's being professed and proclaimed by the prophets in these last days are the truth. That is what sets you free and severs you from this society, man. Okay, and our people trust in oppression and uplift and embrace perverseness, man. Okay, so they have, for these women, giving them the lies, the delusion, the deceit of them being independent and not dependent on their men, but depending on the government. Okay, so with all these things that Esau has formulated, he has flipped everything upside down. Okay, and the guidelines and structure of the family household is not so here in America, aka Babylon the Great. Okay, and that's why, you know, these devils are literally taking away your benefits, okay, all the liberty, the necessities, everything that they've given to you to have that proud, haughty spirit of denouncing, I don't need a man, I don't need this, I don't need that. You know, I have my bachelors, I have my masters, my associates. Okay, but the one thing that you women really didn't recognize is that you're indoctrinated with vomit. And that indoctrination, it leaves you uncovered, it leaves you unprotected, which is going to lead you to be very vulnerable to what the Lord is going to be, what the Lord is going to bring forth. Okay, because again, as it states, you despise the words of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shah, which is the truth, which tells you how to govern, conduct yourself, how to, be in your correct mind in this captivity. Okay, what you were taught and what you were told were all lies to destroy your nation. And that's why I said, therefore, this iniquity, because it's iniquity to be rebellious and disobedient to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. So the breach of what you embrace, what you hold dear to you, which is, you know, again, your paper degrees, your status in this captivity, and the certain tax bracket that you have accomplished with that student loan debt and amongst other things. Okay, because when it comes to these nurses, we know that nurses is in the top numbers of promiscuous women. Trust me, I know. I've actually dealt with a nurse when I was in the world, where she was a so-called Italian, but she was really a Jake. Okay, because one thing that I can recognize, that more than likely a lot of these nurses have access to, is that she was able to write prescriptions for herself and go to the pharmacy and retrieve those prescriptions. Okay, point blank period. I tell no lies, man. Okay, I know. I forgot. I think I had a strep throat or something like that. Maybe an ear infection. I had something, and you know, I was talking to her. I wasn't feeling good, and telling her what was going on. And she literally, I gave her my name, my government name, all that, birth date, and she literally prescribed me a prescription and told me to go to this location to go pick it up at an actual, you know, Giant, CVS, Walgreens, etc. So these nurses have access and capability to do that. So with them having that access and that capability for them to do that, you know, they figured that if they get, you know, a itch down there or something like that, all they got to do is really, you know, put two and two together on what it is. And it's also, you know, penicillin is also one of the main ones that they use to clear out a lot of STDs and STIs. And again, it never dawned on me until now, man, that this broad had the access to be able to do that. Okay, but let's continue on. Salakia. Okay, because again, you know, Esau doesn't need you Israelite woman for anything no more, man. Okay, and it's not beneficial for him to have you tag along. You know, that's why a lot of these jobs are non-existent and soon will be not existing. Okay, because they're making AI and robots to do a lot of these positions. And also, you know, let's read this real quick. This is Isaiah 19 verse 15. Neither shall there be any work for Egypt, which the head or tail, breach or rush may do. Because again, they're trying to do a lot of what China is doing, the Moabites. And they have AI and robots in the position as nurses and doctors in the hospital. And I speak as a man, but more than likely it's probably going to be so that they're going to have that here in Babylon the Great. They're going to have AI, okay, which I believe the beloved Elder Yashawamba's done videos on it, that they're going to have AI and, you know, robots in the position of doctors and nurses. Okay, so they really don't need, you women for a lot of things, and furthermore, any other citizen for certain jobs. And if there will be certain jobs that'll still be capable, as stated, and as we know, it's going to be a very high background security check on your profile. They're going to have to check your social media, your emails, everything. They're probably going to do a diligent search from 1 to 10 years back to see what you're involved in, what type of mentality you have, all that, man. For whatever jobs they do or they're going to make acceptable to have humans do. Okay? But this is literally what we're seeing. Isaiah 19 verse 15 again, neither shall there be any work for Egypt. Because, you see a lot of people that's jobless, filling out what, the brothers have done videos too. You see a lot of women and been crying about they can't find work. Okay, they filled out numerous of job applications, because now these days you send your resume. And I can account for that because at one point I had filled out, sent my resume to a lot of companies, man. I probably would say damn near close to 100 until I accomplished some type of employment from a plantation. Okay, but as we also see too, let's grab this because this is going to be a quick one. I ain't going to go too long on this, and I got this video from the beloved brother Arrows of Indignation. The brother always puts up good clips, and I didn't want to cut this one short. I wanted to get the whole one, so it was 13 minutes long. But let's grab this. This is Jeremiah chapter 30, and I'm gonna read verse 14. All thy lovers, matter of fact, Salakia. Jeremiah 30 verse 14. All thy lovers have forgotten thee. They seek thee not. And that's what you see happening to these Israelite women. Mainly the southern tribe, and mainly the ones in the southern tribe, Judah. Your lover Zaddy, Esau, Edom, the so-called self-proclaimed white man, he's turned his back on you. He's literally showing you that he does not need your ass no more. You've accomplished your agenda. And guess what? You're not a part of the new task, the new plan that's going to be brought forth from these damn devils, man. So your lovers have divorced you. Your lovers have kicked you out the house and changed the locks, man. Okay? They don't need you to do the things that you've committed to doing, because guess what? You're not a part of the plan. All right? You're not a part of it. Jeremiah 30 verse 14. I'm going to read the first part again. All thy lovers, okay, the Edomites, the system, the government, all the necessities, the benefits, the EBT, the Section 8. Now Section 8 is what? A 2-year span for you to have it. And that EBT thing is going to come up again. They're going to take it. They're going to take it away. They're going to take it away, but more than likely it'll probably be the time near spring, because this devil does a lot of sorcery and a lot of witchcraft when spring is come forth. Okay, because that's actually the real new year. There's no such thing as the new year happen in the middle of or actually in the beginning of winter, because winter actually starts on the calendar date, and on his calendar is December 21st. And then 10 days after that, 11 days after that, that's the new year. So it's actually in the beginning of winter. Okay? So your lovers they haven't forgotten about you. They basically, again, divorced you, rejected you. Okay? And literally showed you their true colors. Because you thought you were equal to the oppressor. You thought you were on the same playing field as this damn devil, but this damn devil has taken you back down a notch. Okay, and this is also the beginning stages of the Lord putting you women, you men, everybody here in Babylon the Great, okay, in the process being brought low. Okay, because everybody walked around with their heads held high, very prideful, very arrogant. Okay, and no accountability. And this is also an acknowledgement for you women's transgressions, your errors, and your rebelliousness, your disobedience. Towards Yahweh, because when you go against the men of your nation, you are literally going against Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, because we are the splitting image of the Heavenly Father and His Son. We have been given the understanding. We have been made in His image, and when that is stated, that is talking about the righteousness of the laws, the statutes, and the commandments, knowing how to conduct ourselves and how to govern and judge correct discernment in everything in the world, man, especially amongst our nation. Okay, so let's close out. The point is made. Like I said, I didn't want to go too long on this. This is Isaiah 2, and I'm gonna read verse 12. For the day of Yahweh of hosts shall be upon everyone that is proud. And that day is not just the day when Yahweh Shah comes back. That day is every day now in these last days, man. Because again, the prophets have been risen, awoken, declaring the words of truth. Okay, giving you everything in this meal, this 4-course meal, everything that you need to succeed, to endure, to be comforted. Okay, everything that you need is being professed by the prophets. Okay, by Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai via through the prophets, Salakia. So every day is the day of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. We're just waiting for the final judgment. Okay, so it's the final countdown to the final judgment of the appearance of our Lord and Savior, our big brother Yahweh Shah HaMashiach. Okay, so the Lord is causing that long suffering, that affliction, that hellish condition, okay, to snap you back into reality, man, to make you regret, okay, mourn, weep, all right, and then whenever Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai sees fit, that judgment is going to come upon those individually, maybe before Jacob's trouble, in Jacob's trouble, okay, however he sees fit. Or he might preserve you for Yahweh Shah to come back and for you to see that and be destroyed with the missiles. Okay? Isaiah 2 verse 12. For the day of Yahweh of hosts shall be upon everyone that is proud and lofty. And the first proud and lofty is you damn Edomites, you so-called self-proclaimed white people. You're the first proud. Okay? And then the second most proud on the earth are you, especially here in Babylon the Great, are you damn women. You women. Okay, and you women are going to be brought extremely low. Okay, but again, as I just stated, the very first proud is the Edomites, men and women, but especially the men. That's where you nigger women. And when I say you nigger women, I'm not talking about just Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. I'm talking about all you Israelite women. Okay. You nigger women, you have taken the mentality, the spirit of this damn devil, man. But again, your lover has forgotten you. He's divorced you. He's giving you his ass to kiss and telling you good riddance. Bye bye. Well, job well done, whore, and close the door. And upon everyone that is lifted up, and at one point, you women were lifted up because you believe the BS, the nonsense that this devil indoctrinated you with. Oh, you don't need to depend on your man. But guess what? You're still dependent on the man. You're dependent on the nation. And who is that? The enemy, the adversary. Because we know and we understand that women gravitate towards power. Okay? And just like the transition is occurring and happening right now, you're also going to have women that's going to gravitate towards the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, Native and Sindhu Indians, because they realize, especially the so-called white woman, realize that her man is fallen and that this is it. Okay, you have a certain women here in Babylon the Great that realize that their rulership, okay, the Edomite woman, it's over. And you have some that are still proud and holding on and thinking things are going to be restored. That's going to be a restoration stage for, for them to land back on their feet. Okay? And upon everyone that is lifted up, and he shall be brought low. And that's what the Lord's doing. Again, this is a process. The Lord is bringing everybody low that walked real high, real proud, real lofty, real haughty. Okay, I don't need no man. I'm above the man, this and that, blah, blah, blah. I got my bachelor's. I got my master's. And guess what? You're still stupid. You're still dumb. Because a lot of you bros still have babies by no good piece of shit niggas, man. And a lot of you Israelites, hey, man, you have the mentality of women too, man. But I'm going to leave it right there, man. Okay? I don't want Ratazah, man. I hope and I pray that this is edifying, uplifting, and informative to the true, sincere Aki and Akwaf. So with that, I'm just going to say, Shalom. Call